Tell me about your vision.
Oh my gosh, my vision. My vision, my big giant vision is to set the world free from fear.
Yeah.
So
Tell me
that's my big vision.
tell me more about that.
You and I both know, as most people know, that fear is the number one culprit for us. The reason why we don't build our businesses, why we don't fall in love, why we don't start a business, why we don't like ourselves, why we don't, why we don't get divorced. I mean, there's so many things that fear does to keep us small, stuck, and the same in order to keep us safe, because that's what fear's job is. So, unless you know how fear actually works, rather than just having a concept of fear or just a feeling of fear, once you understand how the concept of fear works, I've created something called the Wheel of Fear and the Wheel of Freedom. You're going to keep getting tricked by fear. And it's going to sound reasonable. It's going to sound smart. And it's going to, other people are going to be like, yes, that's a really good idea not to do. So my whole thing is, what would the world look like if we actually were all living from what I call the essential nature, from the authentic part of you, and living the life that you were actually meant to live the life your soul intended? Like, what would the world be like?
Wow. Tell me more about that. I would love to hear if you go deeper into this concept.
Well, I've created something called the Wheel of Fear and the Wheel of Freedom. And for me personally, when I created the Wheel of Fear and the Wheel of Freedom, it changed my life, because what it did is it took away the guilt and the shame of my behavior. And instead of blaming me for procrastinating, blaming me for people pleasing, blaming me for anxiety, blaming me for beating myself up, blaming me for everything, I could start seeing it as a mechanism, and that beating myself up, blaming, etc., people pleasing, procrastinating, etc., whatever it is that you do, um, that was just a mechanism for fear to keep me safe. It was just a way that fear was using that behavior that I had bought into, that I had said yes to keep me the same, so that I would, like I said, be physically safe / emotionally safe. And that's one of the tricks. Most people think of fear when I say I do fearless living, they're like, oh, I'm afraid of snakes, or I'm afraid of speaking in public, right? And those are physical fears, right? We have physical fears of heights or snakes, and that's what people usually think when they hear about fear. But there's a whole other aspect of fear that actually influences us way more, which is our emotional fears. Our fear of rejection, our fear of failure, our fear of success, our fear of loss, our fear of the unknown, right? Our fear of seen as lazy, fear of worthlessness, right? So all of these fears actually influence minute by minute in our day. And unless we can see that, it will run our lives. It will micromanage us so much that we actually think that's who we are. We actually think that's our personality. We actually think that is what we are meant to do. So unless we can see fear for what it is, like take it and put it up on a board and go, okay, that's how fear works. Okay, Wheel of Fear has 4 components. It's got the core trigger, it's got the fear responses, it's got the core negative feeling, it's got self-destructive. Okay, and then plot yours out, actually see it in motion. It's going to keep tricking you, because fear is as smart as you are, as educated as you are, as spiritual as you are, as knowledgeable as you are. It's going to use everything against you, because fear is how we are wired. So we must transcend fear if we actually want to, like I said, live the life our soul intended. So my whole thing is, how many people can actually find their wheel of fear? And I'm actually creating a quiz to help people do that. It's going to be coming out shortly, so that you can find that core fear of yours, so that you can start seeing your behavior through a different lens. Because neuroscience says that the only way we can change our lives is through changing our perception. So it's not just changing our mind, it's changing our perception. And so you're either looking through the wheel of fear, that's your perception, or you're looking through the wheel of freedom. And I want you to know the difference.
So let's assume someone has gone through the cycle and identified their triggers, their points, and
Mm-hmm.
all the 4 things that you touched on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then what's the next step?
To find your wheel of freedom.
Ah,
So the wheel of freedom was created. That's basically the way out of the wheel of fear. So the wheel of fear is the core trigger, the thing that triggers you more than anything else. And trust me, you don't know what it is. Everybody goes like, I know what mine is. Mine is lazy, or mine is stupid. It's like, trust me, if you know it, you don't have it, because the fear does not want to be found. Because if it is found, it can't save you, right? It can't support you. So anywhere on that wheel of fear, those 4 components, you can get off the wheel of fear. So you can do it while you're in the middle of a fear response, i.e. you're feeling blaming yourself, judging yourself, disempowering yourself, procrastinating, etc. The minute you start noticing it, you can jump off onto the wheel of freedom. Or you can get down to the core negative feeling, that feeling that you do not want to feel. Because again, we have feelings that you and I do not want to feel, and that is our core negative feeling. And then of course there's self-destructive, which you and I know, we know our self-destructive behaviors. We know when we go off, off the rails. We know our self-destructive. And all of those things keep perpetuating the wheel of fear. But once you understand what yours are, you can say, I'm doing it. I'm in the middle of that feeling. I'm in the middle of the fear response. I'm in the middle of self-destructive. And you can jump on what I call the wheel of freedom. Now, the wheel of freedom has 4 components too. And the first one, the most important one, is your essential nature. And that essential nature is that part of you that you hid away long ago because it was not safe to express it. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say that the wheel of fear and the wheel of freedom, those, we dance between those two all day long. So there might be areas of your life that you're living on your wheel of freedom right now without knowing it. You're like in the flow, you're grooving, you're making do, you're happening. Like that's awesome. So you probably have areas of your life right now that you're living on your wheel of freedom. Now, there are areas of your life that you're probably living on your wheel of fear, and that's the ones we want to address. So going back to the wheel of freedom, the essential nature is that part of you that you learned to hide a long time ago because it was not safe to express it. Like, so that could be, for me, that was authentic. I was taught that, you're too big, you're too small, you're too this, you're too, there was always something wrong with me, right? So I was never exactly who I was supposed to be in everyone else's eyes. So being authentic was just not in the cards for me. Because if I was authentic, then I was afraid my deepest fear would come true, which is my core trigger, which is that you would see me as a loser. So that was a no-no in my world. So those things dance together. Now, when you get on the wheel of freedom, you're going to access your essential nature, then move into the second spoke, which is your proactive behaviors. And I help you create those proactive behaviors that align with your essential nature. So now you're moving in the direction of your freedom, which of course then take you down to what I call wholeness, and then self-affirming behaviors. And so that is in itself is a wheel that's going around. Some people would call that flow. Some people would call that in the zone, right? And you are literally living I was going to say, you're living in your power. You're living in your true authentic self. You're living in I'm just going to say authentic self, your essential nature. So that is the wheel of freedom.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Um, what has implementing these techniques done for you, Rhonda?
Oh gosh. Well, I would say the first thing that it does when people find their wheel of fear and wheel of freedom, the first thing that happens is you understand why your life is the way it is. You basically have that moment of like, "Oh, I get it now. Oh, I see it." It's like your life flashes before you and all of a sudden you see like why you didn't take that job, why you took that job, why you went to college, why you didn't go to college, why you dropped out of college, why you got divorced, why you got married. You start seeing how everything unfolds through the lens of your wheel of fear and wheel of freedom. So that's number one. The second thing is because you now see it through the lens of the wheel of fear and wheel of freedom, shame dissolves, self blame dissolves, disempowering yourself is no longer attractive, beating yourself up stops. So instead of making yourself the problem, like, oh, I'm procrastinating, I'm a bad person. Oh, I'm beating myself up. I really got to stop doing that. Oh, I'm judging others. Oh God, I'm so bad. Right? Instead of blaming ourselves and thinking that these are character flaws, instead of thinking these are identity issues, i.e., thinking these are our problems, we can start seeing them as mechanisms and going, oh, I'm afraid of something. Okay, got it. Well, let me step back and go, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of being seen as a loser. I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of being seen as lazy. I'm afraid of looking stupid. Again, whatever yours is. And once you can stop and see that, then you can decide using your frontal lobe, right? Your frontal cortex, right? You can decide how you want to show up instead of being on automatic pilot.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Uh,
You're welcome.
yeah, there's a lot of insights that you gave today.
Ah,
I have one more question for you before we end today's segment. What is your why or what you do?
mm. Well, my parents died at my father's hand when I was 14 years old. He murdered my mother and then committed suicide in front of me. And I can see how clearly my father murdered my mother out of fear, and my mother stayed with my father for years because of fear. And so fear killed my mother, killed my father. It almost killed me. I had 3 suicide attempts, alcoholism, DUIs, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So this isn't just a fanciful self-help like, oh, isn't this a good idea? No, this is literally life and death for people. This is literally them living their soul's intention versus being stuck and small. This is literally setting yourself free and living your dream versus getting caught up in things that no longer serve you. So this is not just a good idea to me. This is literally life and death.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a vision pro yourself.